And if you've got your lesson 1 there, great. If not, I still can explain it. But we're going to go through the very first lesson and how some pointers on how to teach it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and jump out. If you've got lesson 1 available, it'd be awesome. Go ahead, get it out, and let's talk about it. Okay? In fact, well, I'm going to start mine up. There's X-Plane, there's Playmaker. I'm going to go ahead and add X-Plane. All right. This is maybe the default window you'll see. It's probably going to be a different aircraft. I'll open that aircraft. Don't worry about how I'm doing this. I'm just going to bring up the aircraft. You're probably going to see if it's the first time you open it up. So I want you to see that right now. Take an outside look. That's a Cirrus jet. The people at Laminar Research have done some design work on this thing. All right. Now, with the Cirrus jet, and we're at an airport, you don't know what location, you don't know what the weather is at the time. I think it's important for you as a teacher or an instructor to be able to get the kids all to the same place. That will help your aggravation factor. So we also got to get the kids to fly. All those things got to happen before you really can start teaching them. And here's a tip. The very first time they come in, just let them try to fly the airplane. They're probably going to crash it a bunch. If you crash it a bunch in the beginning, don't worry about it. You'll get the hang of it. But by letting them it gets their energy out of them a little bit. They realize they struggle. They realize they need to learn, to listen and learn. So, and to pace themselves might be even another way to do it. So with that in mind, the first time I introduce this, sometimes I'll let the kids just try to fly for a few minutes, 5 or 10 minutes. But if you go to it, the very first lesson is called First Flight. We're going to concentrate on this first lesson, First Flight. We're going to have 2 goals really in here. The first goal is going to be to teach them how to use the software and take off in the airplane. The second goal is to teach them about potential and kinetic energy. This is great for those folks out there who want to tie into forces and energy. You can use Fly to Learn to do just that. So, what they would have is they would have the first flight, and it would be, in case folks don't have it, Wright brothers were engineers first, pilots second. And there's an introduction and flight conditions. And what we're really teaching them there is quick flight setup. So if I'm going to go up here, I'll show the menu choice here. If you don't see the menu, just run your mouse up to the top whenever you're doing this. Hit Settings, then go down to Quick Flight Setup. There we go. Quick Flight Setup. Now, here's the basic breakout of this. Notice it says Innsbruck up here. This is the airport you're almost always going to start from. Have them start there. Also a tip here. When you get X-Plane, you don't have to install, if you have the 6-disc version, don't install the 6-disc. Tell it no scenery. You can do everything with the default scenery that comes with it. And that's going to be, that will also, with the update we're coming out with Fly to Learn. All you need is 1-disc installation. If not, you'll be there for 12 hours installing software. And honestly, I don't want the kids flying everywhere. I want them to fly in Laui and the places we're showing them. We picked Laui because it's a mountain range. It's easy for the kids to see where they're going and they don't get lost. Ask anybody who started flying. The first time you get up in an airplane, look down, you spend half your time trying to figure out exactly where you are. We don't want that going on in the classroom. So it's Laui. If in case they get somewhere else, just type in L-O-W, not L-O-W-I, and that will get you to Laui. So we have at Laui, it's Innsbruck right there. The next thing, we're going to the aircraft. In the beginning, we're going to be in a Cessna 172. So with the Cessna 172, we're going to open the aircraft. we're going to go up to general aviation. We see Cessna 172. And sometimes you double click, sometimes you single click. In this case, you double click. And you're looking for that ACF file. It says Cessna 172, and you'll see a picture of a Cessna there. That's an airplane. All right. Then you're going to hit open. And now the Cessna should be showing up right in the screen. So we're at Lowry, we're at Cessna. I also set the time to 8 o'clock. I don't want to be trying to take off in the dark in this. So there you go. You're Lowry, you're on the aircraft, you're at 8 o'clock. The next thing you do is the CAV OK. Just make sure you click on that. We don't want any turbulence. It's hard enough learning how to fly this in the beginning with turbulence, without adding turbulence to it. Okay? So once we have all those things, we can exit and we can go right back to the runway. And there we are. Now, let's go back out there again. Let me show you one more time. We're going to go up to Settings, Quick Flight Setup. We're going to be at Lowry and Innsbruck. We're going to use this airplane, Cessna 172, where we go into Open Aircraft. We select General Aviation. Select Cessna 172. Click on this ACF file. It shows the Cessna. We open that up. We make sure we're at 8 in the morning. We set this to clear. We're good to go. We'll talk about when you use the differences of these. Go to this airport. We're right at the airport, or you can head X out. Okay. Does anybody want to chat and ask a question about what we just covered there on the setup? Take a quick moment here. They just want to type it out. Okay. I don't see anybody putting one up here, so I'm going to go ahead to the next part of this. So that would be on the very first page of your first flight. Then we get into instruments. And tonight, there's a six-pack of instruments here, but these three are the instruments you're really going to use most of the time. This is indicated airspeed. This is an attitude indicator. And this is my altimeter. This shows us how high we're off sea level. That's an important point to really stress to the kids. It's sea level. It's not off the ground. We're sitting on the ground. But look at our instruments. If I look at the shorthand, it's almost at 2. The big hand's it's after 9. Well, you're almost 2,000 feet. What that signifies is you're nearly 2,000 feet above sea level. But since you're sitting on the ground, you're not off the ground. So teach the kids, the little hand means 1,000. This big hand represents hundreds. But the important thing is for them to understand is sea level as opposed to off the ground. Particularly true when they fly in the mountains. That's something that's really important here in the Carolinas, where we're right at sea level at the beach, but you can fly a few hours later and you're right into the mountains. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the process of trying to fly. And the way we do it is 3 steps. Pause, turn off the brakes, turn in the throttle, and get that square up. So really, it's going to be, let's pause that again, turn off the brakes, pull the throttle off. Again, pause it, turn off the brakes, push in the throttle, hit P for unpause. All right? Now, a tip before I unpause and we start flying down the runway is going to be, when you take off, you want to go ahead and stay inside this square. Your cursor shouldn't be out here or here, up here, around. It should be right in there. Now, I'm going to start going down the runway. Think of your mouse like a joystick. I push forward on the mouse. It's like pushing forward on the joystick. If you look at that left dial there, it's building up airspeed. We get up to about 75. We start taking off. And there we go.